from the title of this video, you already know what we're talking about today. And I'm going to try to discuss it with you guys and try to keep my emotions in check, but I am not going to promise that I'm going to be able to. One of the reasons I am making this video is because at the end of May, I decided that I was going to share my trying to conceive story and series with you guys. And it was mostly because when me and my husband got married in September, we decided that going into the new year, we would try to start a family. So we tried for 5 months and were unsuccessful. And I think anybody who tries to get pregnant knows how heartbreaking it is to take a pregnancy test every month or get your period every month, and that is your reminder that you didn't get pregnant. And I have been using the Flow app for like 3 or 4 years. So according to the app and the data that it was tracking, I had irregular periods. And with irregular periods, it can make it hard to get pregnant because you don't know when you're ovulating. So after discussing, it with my husband, we decided to reach out and find a doctor, an OB/GYN doctor that could help us understand more of what was going on. So I found a doctor and I started sharing my journey with you guys about, finding the doctor and discussing, further information about what my body is going through, and again, discussing more in depth about how it could be harder to get pregnant. We, checked everything out. I, didn't have any issues, ovary-wise or anything like that. Like, everything was functioning perfectly. It was just, again, trying to figure out when I was ovulating because of how wonky my periods were. So we discussed on, taking medication and decided that that would probably be our best bet. And I started taking Clomid and started sharing that journey with you guys as well. And the medication that I was taking, you took it and then about a week later, it made your body go through ovulation. So we took the first dose of medication and it did something but didn't do what we needed it to do. And, went back to the doctor, discussed it with him, and decided that we were going to up the medication from 50 to 100. So I took the next dose of medication and waited to, again, see what was going to happen. And I waited the 2 weeks. Again, everybody knows after you ovulate and you try to conceive, there's that 2-week wait. Waited that 2 weeks, and on June 11th found out I was pregnant. I first found out because I was taking these little at-home tests, these stick tests, and I took 3 different tests. I took one on the 10th, the 11th, and the 13th. And on these tests, they actually have faint lines. And after taking these tests, I was researching, what this, how these tests work and everything. And my biggest worry was that I wasn't getting an accurate test because I didn't see the lines until many hours later. And if you look it up on the internet, it says that could be phantom lines. So I got worried. Maybe, I'm getting myself excited for no reason. But my husband, Ken, said, look, we have digital tests that tell you pregnant or not pregnant, take one of those. So the first test I took said I was pregnant on June 11th. And when you want to be pregnant and you have taken so many tests and so many tests have said no, you just hope that this one is a yes. So I took the test. While I waited the 5 minutes, I prayed to God that it would be pregnant. When it popped up pregnant, I didn't have words. All I had was an emotion of just pure joy. And I was so happy that my husband was downstairs. He heard me crying, came upstairs. Again, I couldn't even put into words how I felt. And all I could do was hand him the test. And in that moment, we hugged because we were finally going to be parents. So we went to the doctor and found out that we were about a month in, and that 2 weeks later, we would, do the ultrasound, see the heartbeat, figure out the exact date when we would have our due date, and about how many weeks we were in. Roughly, we kind of knew how many weeks we were in because of taking the medication and everything, but of course this was just to confirm. And as you all know, that we were going to Vegas, so we discussed it with the doctor about, still going on vacation, everything, going on a plane. He said that it would be perfectly fine. There is no danger with, where we're at, that we should go and have a great time. And that after we came back on, I think it was the 8th of July, we would come in, and by then, the heartbeat would be able to be seen. We would be able to discuss everything, get all the information, and move forward. So about 2 weeks after that, my sister came in with my nephew to visit me. We were hanging out, spending some time together, going to the beach. And I told her I was pregnant. And I captured all this stuff on video. During this time, I was putting vlogs together to, put it all together so when I was ready to announce, I could show you guys and announce it with you guys and be so excited. So I was thinking about all this different content that I could shoot and put together around us being pregnant. And on Tuesday, June 25th, I started bleeding. And of course, when that happens, your mind starts racing. And I went online and it said it's one of two things. Some women bleed during early pregnancy, or it was a miscarriage. So I called the doctor. Unfortunately, my doctor was not in. So I got a hold of the doctor that was on staff that day and discussed with her what was happening. And she said the only way we could find out what was really happening was to take a blood test. Now, since I was pregnant, my doctor recommended me taking a blood test, so I took a blood test and I was around 194, which is good because for the amount of time that I was, pregnant a month in, that's where your score should be. So she discussed, it's up to you what you want to do. You can either come in and take the test or just wait to see what happens. So I was eager and decided that the next day on Wednesday, the 26th of June, I would go. After Ken got off work, we went to the doctor, we did the blood test, we asked, when will we get the results back from this? They said at some point, today, and we went home. We waited all day for the blood tests, and at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night, I got the blood test back, and my levels had dropped to around 150, I think it was, or 140. So I went 40% down, or 40 down from Monday. And again, when you look it up, it says that if your numbers drop, 40 or 50 numbers down, you're most likely losing the baby. So in that moment, I knew that I was having a miscarriage and I was going through it. So I waited for my doctor to review it, and he wanted to meet with us. So on Thursday, we went in to see him. We discussed, what was happening. Again, he reassured me that sometimes women bleed during pregnancy, that this could just be what it is, and to just keep my hopes up. So we came home Thursday, and I was really trying all the way home to keep my hopes up and to think that this isn't what's happening to me. We came home Thursday after the doctor's appointment. When we got home, I went to the bathroom and officially lost the baby. And it was one of the hardest moments of my life. It was something that nobody could prepare me for. So at 5.5 weeks, we lost our first child. And we discussed, what we wanted to do, if we still wanted to go to Vegas, or, what our next steps would be. And we ultimately decided that it would probably be a good idea to still do Vegas because it would be a good distraction. So we went to Vegas. We had a great time. I struggled though with wanting to vlog because I wasn't sure if I was going to share it with you guys, but I had told you told you that I was going to share it with you guys, so I still vlogged. We had an amazing time. And the video you would have seen recently was talking about resetting after vacation, and I talked to you guys about having a real depressive week. And again, the reason for that is because when we got home, everything started to hit me. Remembering, taking the test upstairs and being happy and starting vlogs about it and having the videos that I see, having clothes in my closet in a little bin that my sister and my mom gave me. And everything was a walking reminder, going downstairs and realizing that in the bathroom down there is where we lost our child. And it was hard. I was very depressed every single day. Nothing brought me joy or happiness. And I slept in every day and just laid around and was just very depressed. And I decided that I was going to take everything that would remind me and put it in the second bedroom and not even look at it. So actually, when my sister was here and we went to Goodwill, she got me this cute little baby book that you can put, kind of scrapbook to put all of the stuff in once the baby's born. I had to put that away. The test I had to put away. I even started actually writing in a baby book. I, couldn't even look at this and had to literally just hide everything because it was so hard and no one prepares you for that kind of loss. I don't remember growing up anybody talking about this or miscarriages or anything like that. Of course, that, miscarriages happen, but you don't think it's going to happen to you. So I even discussed with my husband sharing this story with you guys, and I just think it's important to talk about it because I don't think people realize how common it is. And even with talking with our doctor about it and discussing that what happened to me was indeed, a miscarriage and we lost our baby, he discussed with us that it's not commonly talked about, but every 1 in 5 pregnancies ends in a miscarriage. And I think that it is amazing that nobody tells you that. Nobody discusses that with you. And you don't realize how common it is and how many women are actually going through it. And again, like I said, this is not something that I thought would happen to me. This is not something I was prepared for. You know, everybody else in my family, my sister, my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, all have had multiple kids. Well, besides my sister has had one, but multiple kids and never went through this. So I blamed myself. I blamed God. I blamed so many different things because I just wanted to understand, why me? And I have come to terms with, it's just something that happens and it's common, and I was just 1 out of 5 women that went through it. And after going through it, even on my Flow app, there's like a little spot where there's a community where you can discuss things with other people, and to go on there and realize that there are so many women that are going through this and experience this, and that I'm not alone, was amazing, because I just, again, realized that I'm not alone, and there are other people that have gone through it and that are struggling with it. And again, this is a part of trying to start a family, but I just wish that we were more educated on it and that people talked about it more and shared it more, because then when it happens to you, you wouldn't feel so isolated and feel so alone. And that's part of the reason I wanted to share that with you guys, because again, choosing to share my story with trying to conceive, and then I didn't post for a month, and then going through this was hard and heartbreaking. But I think it's something that we need to talk about, and that we need to share, and that we need to discuss, so then other people who go through it, other women who experience this, don't feel so alone. I am so blessed to have the partner that I am married to, because he was my rock through it all. Every day was hard. Every tear, every moment where he just held me and let me express how I was gonna feel was amazing. And him being so strong for both of us, and like, I knew that it was affecting him, and we would talk about it and everything, but he knew that one of us had to be strong, and he knew that with what I was going through, it had to be me. So to have someone like him and to be married to someone like him was just a blessing, because he really helped me get through it. He helped, letting me share my feelings every day, letting me cry. And, it's been a month since we lost our baby, and it's getting easier, and I think that over time it'll get easier. And, discussing trying again, has gotten easier, but it's still hard, and I think it's something that I will hold on to for the rest of my life. And it's something that I realize that I will never forget my first child, because I am still their mother, even though they are not here, even though I didn't get to hold them or carry them for 9 months. They are still a part of my life, and I think about them every single day, about who they would have been, who they would have looked like, and what they would have been like growing up. And I think that's important too, is to keep them alive, keep their story here, and keep them a part of your life, and talk about them and discuss it, because that is part of the healing process too that makes it easier, is just discussing it and talking about it with your friends, with your families, with your partner. And recently, it was hard, because when I had my going to the beach day, my solo date at the beach, I realized that sitting on the beach, I would have been 2 months pregnant, and coming home that day and at the end of the night, it made me emotional and I cried. And then just recently, I, after a month of waiting, got my period. And that again made me emotional because it's the first time after everything happened. And I think those first times after that initial loss and that hardship is hard, and you're gonna go through that, but I recommend you feel the feelings and let yourself go through that, because again, I think all of this is part of that healing process, and all of it is important to feel and experience. And grieve how you're going to grieve. No one, again, talked to me about this and the amount of grief I felt, losing a child. I never got to hear the heartbeat or experience moving in my stomach, or again, giving birth to and holding. All of those milestones that you miss, all of those moments that you think of, first, Thanksgiving, first Halloween, first Christmas, first everything that you no longer get to have. And I know that for me and my husband, we have decided that we want to start trying again, because we do want a family and we do want to have kids. And I think that the hardest part for me to think of is, when I do get pregnant again, that excitement of seeing that test for the first time, or all those feelings that I felt the first time, I'm never going to feel again. And I had to grieve that too, because that's a part of that, is knowing that all of those exciting things that happened, the first time isn't going to happen again. But I also, have to realize that there are a lot of things that the next time there is to look forward to, and that again is seeing the heartbeat and getting those ultrasound pictures and watching them grow and feeling them kick, and eventually being able to hold them in my arms. And I hope and pray that I don't have to go through this again, and I hope and pray that this is, a one-time thing, but you never know. It could happen again to us. But I think that if it did, now I know what to expect, and now I know how it's going to feel, and what I'm going to need to do for myself to help myself, go through that grieving process and start healing again. But even then, I don't think, even if people, try to prepare you, you don't know what it's like until you experience it. And I prayed, that I didn't have to experience this, and I pray that I never have to experience again, because it is heart-wrenching and it is hard. And I know that my healing process is just a continuous journey. And I finally realized, that, there was a reason for this to happen, and God just needed to take them home with him. And I pray every day that, it gets easier. And I think that over time, and with months and months and days and the weeks and everything, the healing will get easier and it won't be so hard. But I think that if you're somebody who goes through this or has experienced, just give yourself time, because healing comes with time, and you're not going to just get over it or stop thinking about them or not feel heartbroken when you think about them. It's going to take a lot of time, and again, like I said, the fear of trying again is real. The fear of getting pregnant again is real. The worrying, the anxiety around it. But, when you're somebody who really wants to get pregnant or really wants to start a family, you kind of just have to keep trying, and hope that you don't have to go through this again and experience it. And I don't know what the future is going to be like, and again, I don't know if it's going to happen again, but you have to just kind of have hope and kind of pray that everything happens for a reason. And that was kind of the thing too, is afterwards I know that my family was just trying to be there for me, and you know, they were saying, you know, there was a reason this happened, and you know, you should be happy it happened so early on and not so much further on, and you know, at least you know you can get pregnant, and I'm sorry. And everything they said, you know, is coming from a place of love and understanding, but it still hurts when that's not what you want to hear. So I think that if you're watching this and you have somebody in your family that goes through it, I think the best thing for you is maybe to just say you're sorry and that you're there for them. And if they need to talk or anything, that you're there to listen. And, you know, as much as you want to say those things to be encouraging, I think, again, just for me, if they would have just simply said, I'm sorry, I love you, and I am mourning with you about the loss of your child, and if you need anything, if you need to talk to somebody, I'm here. And I think for me, that would have been enough, because, you know, that it happens for a reason, or something wasn't right and your body needed to do what it needed to do to protect you, or just all the things that people say because I don't think they necessarily know what to say, you know, can just be heart-wrenching to hear. And I don't think, you know, it's their fault, because a lot of times people just don't know what to say. But I think simply just saying I'm sorry and I'm here for you if you need anything or want to talk is probably the best things that you can do. And through this whole thing, my family, Ken's family, has been so loving and so supportive and been there for us and checking up on us and seeing how we're doing. And I think that is just the best thing. And again, expressing my feelings with my husband and talking about it and crying and just letting myself cry and feel it has been, you know, so good for me and so releasing, because it allows me to get it out and not hold it in and talk about it. Recently, I think not yesterday, maybe it was the day before that, I put a post out there on Instagram talking about it, because I just want to share with people my experience and to let them know they're not alone, and to let them know that even though I don't have my child with me still, I still love them and I still want to talk about them and I still want to make them a part of my life. And even with this book, instead of, you know, doing the week by week, there were spots that were just open to journal during your pregnancy, and I actually took those pages and wrote to our angel baby, you know, telling them that I love them and telling them that I still think about them. And that has helped out a lot too, is just journaling it and getting it out. I do that on my phone as well. Every so often when I'm feeling sadness or feeling the grief, I pull out my phone and I talk to them and I journal to them. And all of this has helped me through this healing process. And again, this is not a video that I ever thought I would have to do or discuss. And because I decided to put myself out there and share our trying to conceive story, I just thought it was also important to share this experience with you guys, because again, I know there are so many women who go through this who don't share it, who don't talk about it, because I think this is another thing that's so taboo. Like, don't talk about it, because it just makes people very uncomfortable. And I understand that, but for me, this is a part of my healing process, is talking about it and sharing it and being open about it, and knowing that I'm not alone and there are other people experience it. And there might be people who haven't discussed it or talked about it that sees this video, that encourages them to talk about it. Don't be silent about what happened to you, because a part of, again, the healing process is discussing it and talking about it and sharing it, because that keeps their memory alive. And for me, I will always keep their memory alive for the rest of my life. I will never forget them. They are a part of who I am, and I have changed so much since going through this experience. I have grown so much, and I think, I have become stronger knowing, that I got through this, and some days are going to be hard and some moments are going to be hard, but I'm going to be okay. And I'm still hopeful for the future. I'm still hopeful that I will get pregnant and that we will have a child and we will start a family. And it's just going to take some time. And I'm okay with that. And I'm, again, finally coming with terms with what happened and acknowledging that I was just 1 out of 5. And even when we talked to the doctor about it, he said, every time you get pregnant, it's like rolling the dice. And if a 1 comes up, the 1 comes up, but you're hoping you get any other number besides that 1. And I pray and hope that the future is different, and that we get to, I get to experience being pregnant again, and I get to experience becoming a mother, and me and my husband experience being parents. But we just have to wait, and we have to be patient, and, pray to God that He allows us to be blessed again with another child, and He allows me to become a mother. And that's really all you can do. So the decision to talk about this was hard. But again, I think that because I was sharing my experience, sharing this is just another step of my healing, and another step, just to say, like, people need to be educated on this, and people need to be aware of this, and you just need to be aware that there are so many women out there who experience this who don't talk about it. And I don't want to be one of those people. I want to talk about it. I want to keep my child's memory alive and remember them for the rest of my life. And I just thought it was important to discuss it with you guys, just in case any of you were following along with my series and then realized I kind of stopped and were wondering, if I stopped because I was pregnant. And it was, but also it wasn't. Going through this was hard, and experience the grief was hard, but I know that today I am so much stronger than I was last month. And I think, again, the healing is continuously going to happen, and I'm going to continue to experience emotions and sadness, and I'm just going to allow myself to feel it. And if you're somebody going through it, or have somebody in your life going through it, I just let them feel the way they feel, and don't rush them to get better, because there's no getting better. There's just, finding ways to cope and get yourself through it. And again, for me, talking about it, sharing my feelings, writing in a journal, writing in my phone has just been so helpful and again, just keeping their memory alive. So if you chose to come today and watch this video, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me, and thank you for watching. I love you guys so much, and I really hope that this can help somebody else who might be going through it, or have gone through it, to not feel so alone. Again, this is not something I would ever wish upon anybody, and I would have never thought it would be something that I would have to go through, but I did. And now I understand every other woman that has to go through it. And if you're someone that did go through it, I'm sorry that you had to go through it, and I'm sorry that you had to feel this pain, because this pain is horrible. And I hope that one day God blesses you with that child, and you get to carry them for 9 months and then hold them in your arms and never let them go. So I love you guys. Thank you for letting me share my story with you guys today, and I will talk to you guys again real soon.